Space, the final frontier. This is the Observer's Notebook, the official podcast of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. Its mission to explore the solar system, to seek out new observations and data, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. And now the host of the Observer's Notebook, Tim Robertson.
Hello and welcome to episode 119 of the Observer's Notebook, the official podcast of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. I'm Tim Robertson, the host of the Observer's Notebook, and also the coordinator of the training program within the ALPO. Thanks for downloading and listening. The ALPO collects and analyzes observations of various solar system bodies and associated phenomena, and publishes detailed reports concerning these bodies in its quarterly publication, the Journal of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. This podcast depends upon donations from you, our listeners, to keep it going. If you enjoy what you hear on the podcast, you can donate to it via Patreon by giving as little as $1 a month. If you feel even more generous, for $5, you receive an early access to the podcast before it goes public. For a monthly donation of $10, you receive a copy of the Novice Observer's Handbook. And for $35 a month, you receive producer credits on the podcast. You can help us out by going to www.patreon, that's patreon.com/Observer's Notebook. And if you're interested in joining the ALPO, membership begins at only $18 a year. You can find out more at www.alpo-astronomy.org. And we are also on the Book of Faces. Yes, the Facebook. You search for ALPO Astronomy. And also this podcast also has a Facebook page as well. Just search for Observer's Notebook. If you enjoy what you hear in the podcast, please subscribe. That way you'll never miss any episode of the Observer's Notebook. And now, the Observer's Notebook, episode 119 with Pam Shivak. And we're talking about International Sunday. Enjoy. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody back to this edition of the Observer's Notebook podcast. We have with today a repeat visitor, Pamela Shivak from the ALPO. She's our youth program coordinator. Welcome back to the podcast, Pam.
Woo-woo! Glad to be here.
Yeah, now just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, that type of thing.
Okay, well, originally my husband Randy and I are from Ohio, Northeast Ohio, west of Cleveland.
That means you're a Browns fan, right?
A Cleveland Browns fan, yes.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh, stop it. So we moved out to Arizona 2012 for 6 years because my husband Randy was going crazy in Ohio with being an astronomer, a solar astronomer.
Right.
The jet stream over Lake Erie was horrible.
Wow.
He was still working at his own CNC machine shop. So the only time he had to do solar observing was on the weekend. So, there was no chance in heck that it would be clear on a weekend in Northeast Ohio. So we moved out to Arizona, which he was pretty happy about that. So we were out there for 6 years, and we built a beautiful house in Prescott Valley. And while that was being built, we traveled around the country. And we ended up down in Florida, and I'm like, honey, can we please move here? So happy wife, happy life. So here we are in Southwest Florida.
Southwest Florida. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, and you like it down there? Solar observing is good down there?
Well, not so much.
Okay.
It's pretty cloudy a lot of the times. So I have to keep an eye on him so he's not sneaking out and driving back to Arizona.
Now, what type of solar equipment? I don't know. Randy's got this huge telescope I think he built.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's lovingly dubbed Leviathan. Yeah, it's a 9-inch refractor.
Mm-hmm.
He uses a Daystar Quantum PE 0.5 angstrom hydrogen alpha filter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got this mega heavy Lunt lander tripod that is really good for outreach because it's remote control. It goes up and down. So for tall people, short people. So yeah, Leviathan is one of like 6 telescopes he has.
Okay.
Anywhere from little what's the 4-inch called? Oh, see, help me out. 4-inch scope, Galileo.
Okay.
And then he's got a 6-inch scope, which is kind of the daily use scope. He only takes the big scope out in the driveway here when he knows it's really good seeing and there's something going on. Had a gigantic 14-inch.
Oh my.
Celestron. Oh, I'm sorry, a Mead. And that's only the ones I can think of right now.
Now, is yours and Randy's focus specifically on the sun observing?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
he's been a lifelong solar imager, astronomer. So
yeah, I've seen his photographs all over the place. I mean, he's really got some beautiful photographs.
Yeah, and he's luckily been published in like Discover magazine and on different covers of like an album cover in Belgium or something. So he's pretty renowned in the solar circles.
That's great. That's great. So, how did you get involved with the ALPO?
I got involved with ALPO when our friend Rick Hill out in Arizona came to one of the Prescott Valley astronomy meetings. And so we got to be good friends, and he knew we were involved with solar astronomy. So he recruited me as part of the solar section. And then somebody by the name of Tim Robertson recruited me to be the coordinator for the ALPO youth program. So I was pretty honored.
Yeah. And you're doing a great job of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this brings us to the topic today. You're experts in solar observing, and somehow this event, International Sunday, came about. Can you tell me how that started?
Well, first, let me tell you what it is.
Okay.
Simply put, International Sunday is just a once a year worldwide outreach event to celebrate the sun and the solstice. And the outreach event can be both real and virtual in that people can participate online or have events in person. So individuals, astronomy clubs, planetariums, libraries, space enthusiasts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anybody who wants to do anything related to the sun or the solstice. I've seen some pretty strange Stonehenge solstice pictures posted on International Sunday, but that's okay. So that's in a nutshell what it is. Just a once a year worldwide outreach event to celebrate the sun and the solstice.
So it's celebrated on the summer solstice?
This year it is. I used to have it. So this year it's on June 20th, 2021. I used to call it the summer solstice, but my friends down under, it's actually on that date is the winter solstice for them.
Right.
So I just call it the June solstice.
Okay.
So I have Australian friends who do participate. So I tried changing the date of it over the years, to accommodate, it's so hot in the summer in Arizona. It's too hot and humid down in Florida. It's monsoon season over in different countries. So, you can't please everyone. So, since it's my baby, I get to pick the date when it is.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So it's going to be on the June solstice moving forward.
Now, this started out as mostly a public outreach type of event, correct?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. And I'm sure that we are recording this in May of 2021. So we are hopefully at the tail end of the pandemic. I know things here in California where I'm at, they're starting to open up. I mean, my wife and I actually went out to dinner this last week, which was nice. We wore masks. We both been fully vaccinated, so we covered all the protocols that way. But are things starting to open up in the way of public outreach events in astronomy?
Well, I actually, I have about 2,000 Facebook friends. 99% of them are astronomy people. And I have been seeing some people doing public outreach events like Jupiter Joe in New York. Well, I'm not sure if he's in New York City, but other people doing outreach events, and they're social distancing, and people are wearing masks even though they're outside.
Right.
But yeah, it's slowly opening up. Our astronomy club down here still isn't, and we were doing weekly events at a resort down in Sanibel that we're not doing anymore, or haven't for a year. So we don't know if we're going to go back to that. But yeah, it's slowly opening up. Okay.
Are you planning a public event this year for International Sunday?
No, we actually aren't.
Okay.
We'll probably sit up in our driveway, and we usually get a nice group of neighbors coming over, or people stop by, and so
nothing at a mall or anything like that where you have other telescopes set up.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
but in the past, that's what it's been.
Right. So yeah. In the past, the biggest way in years past that we celebrated International Sunday was to have public solar star parties and encourage people all over the country, all over the world, since this is international, to have public star parties, solar star parties, and invite the public to come and look through their solar telescopes. My husband Randy and I, when we were in Arizona, we set up our telescopes, solar scope in the local park almost every single day.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we were in Anthem, Arizona at the time, and it's a big like Del Webb community. So there are all kinds of kids and people at the park all the time. So we would get groups of homeschool kids come by. The parents would like, oh, what are you doing? So we would tell them, or they'd be having soccer practice on the fields, and we sit up by the soccer field because there's a nice grassy area that Randy really liked. So like soccer people and just people meandering through the park. So we did that almost every day. And so we celebrated International Sunday when we were in Arizona in conjunction with our local astronomy club. And we tried to work it in conjunction with, a festival or some other event that was going on.
Okay.
So one year in downtown Prescott, we held it in conjunction with the Bluegrass Festival. So there were hundreds of people there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a really long, hot 8-hour day. Yeah, but we had hundreds of people that looked through our solar scopes, and the other members had solar scopes set up. So my advice or recommendation is, if anyone planning to have a International Sunday solar star party is to try to plan it, in conjunction with their library or their astronomy club, around an event that's happening in their town. Maybe not so much this year, but maybe next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, if people want to get involved with it this year, what kind of things do you recommend they do?
They can do a lot of things virtually, like anything. There's our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/INTL Sunday.
Okay.
They can post anything solar related. We have a lot of solar imagers who have been posting like all through the year. There's solar images on the page, but we have a lot of talented solar sketchers, people who look at the gong or the SDO and see if there's any filaments or prominences, and they sketch or they draw in chalk or paint. We've had people submit their sketches and painting, or they could write a poem or just talk about what any experience they've had with the sun, or something educational about the sun. And there's a couple of exciting missions, the Parker Solar Probe and the Solar Orbiter that NASA and ESA, the European Space Agency, has actually launched to the sun, that they could investigate and talk about or post pictures about or updates. So that's something they could do online, or study the solstice. Tell us what they know about the solstice and how it affects them, or how they feel about it.
So the clearinghouse for all the observations and events that International Sunday is your Facebook group, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. I will put a link to that in the show notes so it's easier for everybody to get to as well.
Okay.
That's nice. Nice. So how much activity have you had average, on that Facebook group?
Well, we have over 2,000 members. So they post their solar stuff throughout the year, but with things being as they are last year and this year, that there's not a lot of big events planned. So
right.
I'm hoping that next year we can get a lot more activity.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about astronomy, it's really if you're quarantining, it's a good hobby to have, because you can do it on your own and
right.
not with a large group of people. And the sun is a fairly easy object to observe if you've got the right filters and things like that too. And it's out every day.
Right.
So getting people out there to observe it and contribute, I think, it's you don't have to wait for a non-COVID year to do this. You could do it now. You could contribute to your Facebook group and send in your drawings, like you said, drawings of sunspots and things like that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I know the sun has been going through its cycle and it's been on its minimum for quite a while, it seems like. How active is the sun right now?
Well, actually, we're coming into solar cycle 25, and there's been some sunspots and some nice prominences, and recently some solar flares. So it's waking up, which is exciting.
All right. So yeah, that's the thing. You don't need real expensive equipment if you just got a good full aperture white light solar filter for your telescope. You can see the sunspots and things like that. But if you want to look at the hydrogen alpha wavelengths and things like that and flares, you do need a little bit finer equipment for those types of things.
Yeah, specialized hydrogen alpha, calcium, sodium, different kinds of filters like that.
Yeah. But those are specifically for solar observing. True.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So anyone can join your Facebook group?
Oh, absolutely. Please encourage everyone to join.
Okay.
But I bet you're wondering how I came up with International Sunday.
I bet Randy came up with it.
No, he didn't. I did.
You did. Okay, tell me about it.
Okay. It does involve him though. But so Randy and I, like I said, we used to travel around the country, attending different star parties, giving talks and presentations and all that, and where hundreds of astronomers were gathered. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Well, all of them were up all night, of course, doing nighttime astronomy, and then they were sleeping during the day. I'm like, what? So when Randy and I came out of our tent in the morning, everybody was sleeping, but he does what he does. He set up the solar telescope, and hardly no one, well, basically no one was looking through it except him, which that makes him happy. So I was a bit frustrated about that because they're like, where are the solar star parties? And you can't have solar star parties at nighttime astronomy because everyone's up all night, especially if there's clear skies, like out in Texas. Texas star parties, we were a couple of years, and well, we won't talk about the Okie-Tex, which was rained for 3 days straight. But I was frustrated about that. So I thought, well, maybe I would think about organizing one. So I had these grandiose plans, But I was helping out when we lived in Arizona with the Arizona Astronomy and Science Expo. And then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. This is way over my head because I knew I didn't have the resources to organize a solar star party. And what about the logistics and the liability and blah, blah, blah. So that was my big aha moment in 2014 when I decided, whoa, why don't I use the far-reaching power of the internet to have an online solar star party? And thus International Sunday was created. It really gained momentum with the help of Stephen Ramsden and the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project when he and I coordinated to market International Sunday worldwide to mine and his followers, and to which I'm extremely grateful. And it just took off from there. I mean, there were pictures of people with hundreds and hundreds of people at their their International Sunday event specifically, not just Solar Star Party, but their International Sunday events, and not only all over the country, but all over the world. So that's where we are now. The legacy still lives on today, but it's being carried on through our Solar Activity Facebook group. That's where most of our solar imagers are. So
now, is that part of International Sunday?
Well, no, that's mainly our Facebook group that was started by our longtime friend John O'Neill and Randy Shivak and myself. We are all belong to the same astronomy club in Ohio when we were all still in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a long time friendship. So, we all moved to different parts of the country. John and his wife moved down to North Carolina, and we moved out to Arizona, but we still wanted to keep in touch. So that's how the Solar Activity Group was formed. So basically so Randy and John could, share their
Right.
Solar images publicly or
Okay.
on Facebook.
All right. Yeah, I'm a member of that Facebook group as well. I didn't know if there was a tie-in between the two.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, it's where I promote the International Sunday as well as
Right.
on the International Sunday
Right.
Facebook group page.
Okay. Well, that's great. So has any groups contacted you this far this year about doing events in their local areas?
Yeah, some people have said, if all goes well and if the weather holds out and if if they're can safely do so, that they'll try to have an event, a local event. But I think people are really still hesitant now to do anything, especially overseas.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's kind of in limbo right now, but that's what's great about the internet, that people can still do driveway solar astronomy like Randy does, and post pictures and do all the other things that I mentioned.
That's true. Well, Pam, you got anything else to add for us today?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
So this is another good opportunity to promote the ALPO youth program, of which I am now the coordinator of. Mm-hmm. So
you're welcome.
The goal of ALPO's youth program is to encourage children and young adults to take an interest in astronomy, space, and outreach, and to introduce our young astronomers to solar astronomy, sun science, NASA and other space agencies' planned missions to the sun and to Mars, and the Artemis program, and all these other cool things that we could really, teach our young people about. And I've got a lot of good response to people posting on the ALPO youth program group that you could also post a link to if you're so inclined.
Okay.
And encourage people to join there. And, not only I post resources for people to take back to their astronomy clubs and groups, and but also encourage people to share whatever they want to share on the group. So I have a lot of people doing that, and when I post something, I love seeing when people share, like, oh, so and so shared this, so and so shared this, like, oh, that's what it's all about. The exponential power of the internet gets out to hundreds and thousands of people.
True. Well, that's very cool. All right. Well, Pam, I think that's it. I will add your contact information in the show notes as well, so people can email you if they have any questions. And also, I really encourage everybody to head on over to the Facebook group for International Sunday and check it out and subscribe.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Pam, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Observer's Notebook podcast. I again want to thank Pam for coming on the podcast today and talking about International Sunday and everything else. Hope you all have a chance to celebrate along with her. We upload a new podcast of the Observer's Notebook on the first and third Friday of I'm on the first and third. On the 1st and 15th of every month. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. If you do, please rate and review us. I really appreciate it. And you can also hear us on Apple Radio, iHeartRadio, Soundcloud, Spreaker, Google Play, Stitcher, and that Amazon Echo thing in your living room. You can help support the podcast by donating to it via Patreon by giving up to $35 a month, where you'll receive 1 year's membership to the ALPO and producer credits on the podcast. And with that, I want to thank our special producers on this podcast, Steve Siedentop and Michael Moyer, for their continued generous support. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The link for Patreon, as well as the link for the ALPO, is in the show notes. And if you'd like to contact me, my email address is commentman@commentman.net, or I'm available on the Twitter as well. Just go to @ObserversNBPod. Until next time, I hope that you always have clear and steady skies. Thanks for listening.